Hi there, I'm Amanda Castor with Material Girl Quilts. Today I'm here to share with you one of my all-time favorite makes, the Flag Day quilt. Now this quilt was actually designed by Christine Cook of Stitching Revival. She used to have a blog up, but she's now actually changed direction and is doing life coaching, so she took her sewing blog down. Since I get asked so frequently how to make this quilt, I decided I would go ahead and show you here on the YouTube channel. Now there are many reasons this is one of my favorite makes. One, it's a red, white, and blue quilt, which I've always loved. Two, it's quick and easy. And three, it's super scrappy. So you can pull out all of the reds, all of the blues from your stash and put them together in this quilt and it will look great. And also another nice thing, with the red and white stripe blocks, you don't have to use a solid white. You can use white on whites. You can use some low volume prints to give it more character. Now this quilt is made of two blocks. There's the star block and the stripe block, and I will show you what materials you will need and how you make both of those blocks. So let's get started. The first block we'll be making will be the simplest one. It's going to be the striped block. So what you're going to need for your striped block are three 2.5 inch by 12.5 inch red rectangles and three 2.5 inch by 12.5 inch white rectangles. Now my blocks are going to be completely scrappy, and I chose to use like a low volume with some red in it for the white prints, but you could use a solid white or a white on white, or just one fabric for all of your white stripes, whatever you want to choose, but I liked my version as scrappy as possible. So what we're going to do is pair up a white and red block, or white and red rectangles together. We'll pair those up into three different pairs and sew them together with a 1/4 inch seam. Now once you have each of your pairs sewn together, you will press them towards the red fabric, and then you will sew the pairs together. So you just continue to alternate between white and red fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and sew these two pairs together now. So now we'll just add our last pair here, and once we get all 6 of these red and white stripes sewn together, our block will measure 12.5 inches square. So here are all of our stripes, and we again press towards the red fabric. Now I will show you what you need for each star. So for the star block, you're going to need a total of 4 stars, but for each individual star you will need 4 2.5 inch blue squares, 1 2.5 inch white square, 2 3 inch blue squares, and 2 3 inch white squares. So the first thing we will do is we will select a 3 inch blue and white square and place them right sides together. And you're going to, if you don't have, which I will place a link to this in the video description, but I use the tape on my sewing machine here that shows the 1/4 inch seam. But if you don't have that to mark the guide, you can draw a line on one diagonal from corner to corner, and then you'll sew 1/4 inch on either side of that drawn line. We're going to create 4 half square triangles. So we repeat this with the second 3 inch squares. So we've sewn on one side of the line, now we're going to sew on the other. Okay, so now that these are sewn, you have sewn 1/4 of an inch on either side of the line, you're going to actually cut directly on those lines and then press towards the blue fabric. I'm just going to use these quick little snips here. We will open these up and press toward the blue fabric, and then you will square these up and trim them to measure 2.5 inches square. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, so now I have all of my half square triangles trimmed up. We're going to lay out the star block. So each outside corner will be a blue square and the center is a white square. And then we will place the half square triangles as shown here to create the star. Now what we're going to do to create this star is sew each of these 3 squares together into 3 separate rows, and then we'll sew the 3 rows together to complete the star. Now once all of these rows are sewn together, you're going to press towards the squares. So for the top and bottom, you'll press out towards the blue, and for the center row, you will press in towards the white. And then your seams will nest nicely, and your points should match perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and then we'll finish this block. Okay, so each row is now nice and pressed, and once we, since we press the seams in opposite directions and you put them together, they're gonna just nest perfectly, and I won't even need to use a pin since it's such small distance between the points. And now we just need to sew the last row on, again nesting our seams. Okay, once your star is done, you can, if you'd like to, you can press your seams open so it'll lay a little flatter, or you can press towards the outside. Now again, this is what you need for 1 star, but to complete the star block, you will need a total of 4 stars. And then each of the stars measures 6.5 inches unfinished, and once you sew them all together, your block will measure 12.5 inches. So now that you know what you need to make all of your blocks, you can see that it's easily adaptable. You can make as many blocks as you like when you put this quilt together. I made mine with 30 total blocks, so it's set in 5 blocks per row for 6 rows. And also note that I laid out my stripe blocks that they alternate directions every other one. So now all you have to do is figure out how big you want your quilt to be, do a little math and see how much fabric you'll need, pull out your scrap bins in your stash and get cutting. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please click the like button and subscribe and make sure you don't miss any tutorials going forward. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.